But now it's time to talk to my man Prime Red. I got a quick thing I got to say right quick that I'm required to do. Designating WMNF as a beneficiary of your life insurance is a way to ensure that we will be here for years to come. Please consider leaving a legacy of love for WMNF. For more information, contact Gene Moore at 813-238-8001. That's 813-238-8001. Or at GENE@WMNF.org. That's GENE@WMNF.org. Now it's time. What's up, man?
Hey.
All right, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh.
I'm super excited about this. Introduce yourself first. Well, before we start, introduce yourself to the people. Tell us where you're from, all that.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the opportunity and the welcome. I feel very welcome. My name is Prime Red. Via Philadelphia, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I'm kind of a transplant, but I've been living in Florida for a couple of years here and in Orlando as well. And yeah, man, just making music on the low and deciding to emerge.
Okay. Now, you, well, for the folks out there, hopefully you were listening from the top of the show. I played some music off of Prime's first album called The Blue Kingdom, which is a great kind of sci-fi thematic album. Definitely check that out. I played a song called Thunder. Now, first question for you.
Okay.
You first of all, how long have you been making hip-hop music? And second question, what made you decide to go in the direction that you've decided to go in with kind of like this thematic kind of concept album kind of stuff?
Okay. So I've been active making music since I was about 14 years old. I remember, I'll never forget when I was a kid and I was bouncing around my grandma's apartment and I saw If I Ruled the World music video.
Okay.
And I think it was about 5 or 6 when I saw that. And ever since then, I was in love with the culture. And my uncle, he was a musician. He's passed, but he was a reggae musician and a hip-hop producer. So he gave me a couple shots to record in the studio, and I recorded my first quote-unquote album when I was about 14. And the next joint when I was about 17. And then I went off to school and, kind of lay low for a little bit. And then after I got out of school, I released an EP when I was about 20, or 21, excuse me. And yeah, and the reason why I've kind of gone in this direction, I've always been really into the sci-fi sound, of course, the whole idea of a film score, but just kind of how music resonates in an environment. So for me, when I construct a piece of music or a beat, I like to picture, an environment or what types of things, the trees or the concrete, how sound bounces around in the world. And for me, when I visualize a world, I like to craft that sonically. And so with I've always been a sucker for concept albums. And this, I actually was inspired because I read about an artist who wrote an entire book before they actually recorded their album as a backstory. Okay. So I was really inspired by that, and I was like, you know what? I love when they do film soundtracks and they take a piece of the film or the piece of the movie and they have some of the dialogue or some of the score and they interject that into the album. So I was like, what if I just crafted songs around those moments? Okay. And so,
who was the artist that wrote this book?
I don't remember the artist's name. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, but no, that's all right. That's all right. Some things happen.
But it was like a folk singer. It wasn't anything hip hop. It was like a folk singer.
But that's all right, because that's hip hop. We take stuff from every place. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's cool. Well, I tell you what, let's set the mood for the people. I want to give them a song before I ask you any more questions. I want them to hear what you're talking about, because I think the answer you gave, as far as like, I want to create this environment and talk about how sound bounces through this landscape, that's really interesting. I want to set the mood, and then I want to come back and talk to you more about that. So let's start it off. This song is called Dinner. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, this song is Dinner. It's a very strange song. The goal for the Green Dash for me was to create music that was really linear, and in the word dash is kind of implied that by the time that you get settled into the song, it's done. So with this, I really didn't want the beginning of the song to sound anything like the end, hopefully. So yeah, just to lay that out.
All right, let's have it.
Dinner with the king, there's Campari in my glass, lobsters on my bib. Conversation between all the sips, going deep like we digging down in a ditch. World Series of life, find a wife, earn a ring, get married and get a crib. Make a baby, throw in another crib. Raise one, then throw in another kid. Let me bottle feed this metaphor. Little one, there's too much to prepare you for. Not to mention we haven't met before. You may not know what you're looking for, but always know what you're living for. There's no examples of the typical. Learning on the fly is the ritual. So I'm chanting up the mystical, in rhythm with the spiritual. Writing this hopefully that it gets to you. Even daddy's scared without a clue, but mommy's right there sticking like glue. Doctor Strange with the visuals. Wakanda in my principles. T'Challa in my aptitude. Guardian the galaxy beyond this altitude. I had dinner with the kings, ate breakfast with the generals, sip tea with the poets, clear the agenda for this moment. I had dinner with the kings, I had dinner with the kings, I had dinner with the kings, I had dinner with the king, 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 king. I had dinner with the kings, ate breakfast with the generals, sip tea with the poets, so we could share this moment. I had dinner with the kings, I had dinner with the kings, I had dinner with the kings, I had dinner with the king, 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 king.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was Prime Red with Dinner off of his new album, The Green Dash. Now, I wanted to get back to what you were saying about these kind of sonic landscapes, but I also want to rewind a little bit to something you said. You said when you construct a rhyme or a beat, so you're doing this production as well.
Yes. That's
okay.
Correct.
Okay. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. So there's kind of a unified vision there of, you know, you're doing your own production, so you've got this whole thing like kind of encapsulated. I like that. Now, I wanted to play a song just to start the people off because I definitely understand what you're saying about this kind of like this sci-fi sound and fitting this, you know, having this like sonic landscape. The cover to your first album, of course, was an homage to the famous movie poster for Akira.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Akira, watch it. If you haven't checked out the Blue Kingdom album, check it out. Yeah. So explain, because there's a story behind these albums. So you've constructed these songs around a story. Explain the story, because they're from the point of view of a character who's got like a mission.
Yeah.
So break that down.
I was actually just having a conversation with my wife about this, so hopefully I can get it right. So basically, there's two stories at play here. The main story, the concept of the album, is following of kind of a futuristic world where it's kind of almost an alternative reality. I was crafting a story because I think about like old games or just when we were kids, we use so much of our imagination, we fill in the blanks. So I don't want to give too many of the details, but in terms of the story, it's following a courier in this world, and I'd probably describe it as kind of like a cyberpunk, feudal, futuristic world. And he's not quite a bounty hunter or anything like that, but he takes on jobs, he delivers stuff, that type of thing. And, there's bounty hunters, there's people that, are dangerous, there's guys they call themselves kings, there's architects, there's all these different things that are playing at the world. But, so essentially with the Blue Kingdom, you have this kind of a lost soul, the Skyman. And there's this thing called the Project Skyman. So in this reality I'm talking about, they no longer seek out new planets, they grow planets. And so this is a grown planet, and this guy is just looking for work, and he comes across this city, and there's this old lady and her granddaughter, and she's like, I got this package I need delivered, but I need it delivered by somebody who can handle themselves and who's not going to call attention to themselves. But the catch is, you got to take her with her, you got to take my granddaughter with her to ensure that this job gets done. And so he's like, hey, money's money, I'll take it, whatever, so on and so forth. And there's kind of an air mystery around this character. So as you're going through the album, you're finding out bits and pieces. And again, it's for the audience to kind of fill in for themselves. And to break down the whole title of the Skyman, you hear me say Skyman Up and all this kind of stuff. It kind of dates back to an earlier work that I did, an earlier album, where it was around the time when like The Dark Knight took off. I think Nas dropped the song Hero. Like superheroes were now coming into the culture the way it is now. And I just wanted to make something that represented the young minds, the young heroes in society that we don't see. Like if you're young, or it doesn't have to be about being young, but if you're handling your business as a person in society and you're a hero that's not necessarily recognized, you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, or you're doing your thing in school, or you're taking care of your family, like you could be a Skyman. So to go back to the Blue Kingdom in this world, these Skymen, both men and women, were kind of dispatched into society to take on different roles and jobs, to kind of learn and to be studied so that they would report back what it is that makes people successful or not successful, or what makes the heart beat, all these different things. I'm getting real cheesy here, but essentially the Blue Kingdom's following this specific guy, and he's got this package along with this woman, and he's coming across various figures in society, and they're kind of challenging his identity. What is it? What does it mean to be a Skyman? What does it mean to be you? And by the time he gets to the end, the architect, which is the end point, is kind of lays it all out for him. Again, I don't lay any of these details out in the skit. It's all for you to fill in the blanks. Okay. And then the Green Dash, I'm sorry, you cut me off if I need to be cut off.
No. The only thing I was going to ask you is, so do you consider the Green Dash a direct sequel to this? Okay.
It's a direct sequel. So the Green Dash is a direct sequel. So what happens, spoilers, I guess, what happens with the architect is when they meet, the Skyman and the architect meet in this tower, this floating tower, it's destroyed. They don't know who destroyed it, but essentially he's almost framed for, the Skyman's framed for it. And it seems like it carries all this attention, and people, there's kind of like a price on his head. So he goes into hiding. And as a result, he goes into exile, and the king that we meet in the Blue Kingdom is like, hey, I can help you out, but you need to do this job for me. You need to go to a place that most people don't go, or as a king or my crew, we can't go into that place. But if I send you, nobody can say anything to me. So it's kind of like a black operation, a black ops type of thing. Okay. So in order for it to be successful, you need to get in and get out. It needs to be a dash. So you need to go to the green zone. You need to make the dash across this place.
Okay. All right. So,
and to further give you some context, Blue Kingdom and the Green Dash, that's the sci-fi story. The story behind the story is the Blue Kingdom as a man, like I was getting married, growing into responsibilities. So all that stuff is like, I was like, the next project I make, I want it to be fun. I want it to be relatable. I want it to be about these things in life that you don't necessarily hear about in hip hop all the time. Okay. The Green Dash, I literally, like a couple days before the Blue Kingdom dropped, my wife tells me she's pregnant. Oh. So my whole brain and mind just like flipped. Yeah. And I was like, man, I took the studio down, turned it into a nursery, all this stuff. And then after a while, I was like, man, like, am I ever gonna make music again? So I challenged myself. I said, yo, before this baby's born, I gotta make another project, and that's the Green Dash. So even that song,
That's
Dinner,
tight. Yeah.
you know, I'm having dinner with the kings, ate breakfast with the generals. All that stuff is talking about, like, I go to work, you know, I meet with, you know, various people out through society so that I can have dinner with my family. Like, that's kind of the story behind that song.
Okay.
I know I just dumped a whole bunch on you.
No. I actually think that's interesting. And no, I wanted to know the story behind the albums because I think for me, you know, obviously different artists, I'm going to ask different questions.
Yeah.
But since you are doing this kind of concept thing that is, you know, moving from album to album, I think it's important to know, like, you know, where, you know, important to ask where you're going. I want to get into another song.
Okay.
But then I want to talk more about some of your influences, like your sci-fi influences and other things. So we're going to get into this song. This song is called The Market. You want to talk about it a little bit before we drop it?
In terms of the story, this is where our hero is he's arrived at a place where he's seeing actually kind of a sporting event, a little bit of a battle contest. In terms of hip-hop, I think we all know as MCs, you got to have a track on there, at least one track, just establish it. Hey, I got bars. So I was like, let me just make sure I put my track on there that, hey, I still got bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, here it is, folks. This is Prime Red, The Market. Taste it, y'all.
And now for the main event, your champions, engaging battle.
Skyman up, Skyman up. The Red Knight, yeah.
No hook, call the track a covered coat rack. Rolling presidential convoy, Coca-Cola black. Two-piece Italian suits don't match a backpack. I'm not a trapper, but I'm cool with my conscience at. This is POTUS rap, quote me for your status rap. Transporter, pull a rabbit out the hat, magic rap. Sophisticated, simple soundtrack for the people. Fierce hope to munch on, like a bag of Doritos. Mr. Thriller's right here, yeah. So give tissues to all those other Tito's. Blue Kingdom blockbuster, here's the proper sequel. I'm not spitting, but blowing bubbles on all you muggles. Wizard with the wordplay, can't afford to mumble in the dance of debate. We destroy all rebuttals. Aggressive with the punch, chew on this Captain Crunch. No flinch, it don't budge if we start running up. Yeah.
Yeah, you know you love that. Love that. Love that. You know you love that.
Yo.
Love that.
Trying to bench press, weight of the world stress. Performing yoga on the budget, make the money stretch. Color outside the lines, live it like it's lawless. Keep improving, keep it moving, cause we ain't flawless. You get buried in boxes, a category coffin. The writing's on the wall, we just playing Wheel of Fortune. Don't waste time talking, tell me where the boss is. Gymnastic, linguistics, show me where the bar is. That boy catching fire, why don't you tell him throw the logs in. Raise expectations, realign your targets. I'm just getting started, haven't opened up the faucet. Kentucky Fried Cowards, yeah, they pushing Boston markets. I pop by with sonic sounds, you can stick a fork in. Vacation of pressure like I'm trying to go snorkeling. The boy got range and power, a mighty morphin. Devour any bracket, a ladder, startup or corporate.
Yeah, you know you love that. Love that. Love that. You know you love that. Love that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was The Market by Prime Red off of the Green Dash album. So now, what I have to know, what are your sci-fi influences? Since you're doing this sci-fi kind of project, what are your sci-fi influences? What are you watching anime? What are you doing, man?
I never got too deep into anime. I mean, outside of the Dragon Ball Z stuff, of course. Big Metroid fan, a big gamer.
Oh, okay. So yeah, well, that's okay.
And then also just like anything Ridley Scott.
Okay,
like,
all right.
All that, all that 80s, like, sci-fi stuff. All that, just the look of it, the feel of it, like that very tangible sci-fi feel.
Okay, yeah. I feel you. Okay, that's tight. Now, those are your kind of aesthetic influences. What are your musical influence? Like, what MCs are you listening to? What producers are you listening to?
Gotcha. Man, it really, I think you were talking about it earlier, offline. We were talking about just some days it's this, some days it's that. It could range anywhere from, the other day I was listening to a Styles P record.
Okay.
And I could anywhere from Currency, going back to, of course, like the Lupes, the Wales of the world. The foundation, of course, is Nas, KRS, all those kind of guys. I remember the first time I heard Planet, of course, it's before my time a little bit, but like Planet Rock and stuff like that. When I heard that, I was like, whoa.
All right.
Like, this is crazy. Because I started out initially as a DJ. So I used to have these vinyls and hearing all those beat breaks. I used to hear all those, a lot of those early beat breaks that use all those old samples, all those old drum samples, those funk loops, all that kind of stuff. And, in terms of MCs, man, I'll give anybody a listen, honestly. The more and more I think about it, I'll give anybody a track listen, a track here or there. But, man, I'm pretty open musically, especially with hip-hop. And then in terms of outside of hip-hop, anything from Floyd, man, Phil Collins. My background's West Indian. My whole family's Trini, so Calypso, soca, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm a big reggae head. Man, I'm like deep into old dub reggae. Like, it's crazy, man. I don't know.
All right. That's cool. Hey, that's awesome. I'm a firm believer in bringing as much stuff into hip hop as you can, but that's what the originators of hip hop were doing.
Yeah,
they were bringing a ton of stuff. Into hip hop. I'm being a bad host. My phone keeps going off. I'm sorry, but okay. One thing you told me that I found inspirational as you were talking about it. Like these albums paralleling your life in the green dash, being like, okay, my wife's pregnant, I got to do this thing, I need to make this album before the baby's born. I find that interesting just because I especially for young people, if you're listening, a lot of artists don't have big studios, whatever. They create with limitations. So you're creating this stuff out of your house, right?
Yeah.
So I always do this for my nerd heads. What do you create with? Like, what are you producing with?
Gotcha,
like, what programs, or do you have a Triton, or do you have like a MPC, or what are you creating?
Gotcha.
With?
Yeah. So yeah, I have an MPC. I have a Roland V synth. I use Logic.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else I have. I have an M audio interface, like an 8R track. And that's my condensed version.
Okay.
Outside, like my full-blown version, I have 2 turntables, CD scratcher, and man, I haven't sampled in a long time though. But mostly that's it. Like because technology allows it. But yeah, man.
That's interesting because listening to your music, I did not hear any real recognizable samples. It seems, That's cool, though. That's cool. I think that's awesome. Everyone comes to it from a different direction.
I used to love to sample, but for me, I always appreciate a sample when I can hear the challenge in the sample. And I feel like technology has made it so easy to manipulate sounds that kind of like the spark of sampling something is kind of lost, with the exception of a few. Of course, there's always, you got your Knife Wonders, you got your Primos and stuff like that, people that just do incredible work with samples. And again, every once in a while, I'll do something to just make sure I still got my chops. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Last question before I play this last song. And of course, I want to let you talk one more time. Oh, by the way, it's top of the hour. You're listening to WMNF 88.5 FM, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Sarasota, Dunedin, Spring Hill, Valrico, worldwide if you're on the net at WMNF.org. That's WMNF.org. Oh, Riverview. I'm going to say Riverview because Prime Red's from Riverview. So I'm sure you're getting 88 out there too. Last question. Where can the people find you? Tell us social media where they can cop the music, all of that.
Okay, so you can find the music literally, I did distribution through TuneCore, so you can find it pretty much everywhere. iTunes, Amazon, Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, all that stuff.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a kid on a boat somewhere selling it as well. the social media stuff, you can catch me on Twitter at Prime Labs QW. I'm on Instagram as well, Red Sky with an E at the end, 7. I have a Facebook page, Prime Red, and the actual website is skymanred.com.
Okay. Now, folks, if you missed any of that stuff.
And YouTube as well. Sorry. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. There you go. If you missed any of that stuff, go to WMNF.org. That's WMNF.org. And listen to the show again. You can listen to the show streaming 24/7 at your leisure. So if we're up past your bedtime or you missed anything, definitely check us out there. I think you're going to want to check out this young man. Now, we got one more song, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit after that as well. But the song is called Phase 3, which is my favorite, so I saved it for last.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But I want you to introduce this song for me.
Phase 3, I think, is I think it's one of the climax points of the album. Definitely to get you hyped. You know, the story I give. One of the parts of the project is my nephew called me, man, and he was like, my nephew and my niece, they love my music. Maybe because they don't know any better yet, but they were like, my uncle, he was like, hey, uncle, you got any new music? And I was like, no. Or what? In my head, I'm thinking no, but I'm like, yeah. So I recorded a song. Basically, in the story, they've retrieved the package, what they needed from the green zone. They are making their escape. And so everything is going on. I'm sure there's lasers blasting. I don't know what's happening exactly, but this is what's happening. They're making their escape.
Okay. Phase 3, y'all. Prime Red off of the Green Dash. Taste it.
Everything has to be epic, 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 everything has to be epic.
No HR, Wells, or Cisco, Ramon. I bounce between worlds, calling many places home. Phase through the hate, run through walls of stone. Most legends of tomorrow today are unknown. Dunking fundamentals, deadly instrumentals. Walk through rose petals, I turn from hot coals. They wanna write my story, but too many plot holes. Roll the dice on the board, reset the console. Born with Philly cheesesteak in hand, but country grown. Started on turntables, A-Shock was the label. Blazers with the tops, but we never waited tables. What up, Big Rod? Get busy, get the paper. Renting the fire halls, they call in the mayor. I wield the MP like the dagger of the Green Ranger. Backflip 64-bit plumber, the game changer. I crew check the outsiders and chase things that are stranger.
Everything has to be epic, 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 everything has to be epic.
Off the dome, you could call the boy a ghost rider. You in the circle jerk of floozies and ghost riders. Team Redhead, yeah, there's a glow about us. Team SF, yeah, what you know about us? The heat's over here, but ain't no smoke around us. Foggy memories of something else entirely. Much more than street cred, even FICO ain't denying me. Turning possibly to probably into a certainty. Only if I'm dining in, you have a chance of serving me. I don't write raps all day, I'm crushing casually. My priority is family. This beat is like some Applebee's. Leaders raise leaders, they don't raise casualties. My nephew Mars asked me, uncle, when you drop some bars. Sure, I'll make some songs if it helps him feel strong. My creative muse starts coming along. I let loose like I unhinged the bottom of my jaw.
Everything has to be epic, 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 everything has to be be epic, everything has to 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 be epic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was Phase 3, a.k.a. Epic, off of The Green Dash, Prime Red's new album. How long ago did the album drop now?
I think about 2 weeks, August 18th.
Okay, so this is really new, so I feel like I kind of got a little scoop. But, man, thank you so much for coming through.
Man, thank you.
I was super excited to have this interview because, you know, it's rare that I get to talk to an artist that's doing, like, concept album work. And, you know, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We were talking off air, you know, about my love of Cool Keith and a whole bunch of, you know, Dan the Automator, all these kind of things that happen, going all the way back to Ultramagnetic MCs, a lot of this concept stuff. Man, so it's like, yeah, I gravitated a lot towards your work also, especially, you know, what you were saying sonically. I gravitated like that. The production, it sounds like what you're saying. I really like it. It fits. So definitely, folks, check out Prime Red. Check out the Blue Kingdom and the Green Dash, both out right now. Tell them one more time where they can catch it.
You can catch it on iTunes, Amazon, Tidal, Spotify, and anywhere music's sold, basically. YouTube as well.
No doubt, man. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's a bit of a drive from Riverview, so I really appreciate you coming through. I love to do interviews in person. I mean, I will do a call-in, but it was good. You know, it's funny. We've only ever corresponded over email, so it was good to finally meet you as well.
Man, likewise.
Yeah, I'm always surprised by the talent that I find here that I didn't even know was doing anything. You know, like people will hit me and be like, "Oh, check this out," and I'm like, "Wow." Mm-hmm. You know, I thought I knew everyone rhyming and, you know, everyone that was worth anything rhyming in Tampa or this area or that area, and all of a sudden, boom, there's somebody who has a whole body of work that I didn't know. And of course, I love supporting local artists. I think that's my favorite part of my show. I mean, I play underground hip hop from every place, but I always like finding cats like you. So thank you once again, man. And, you know, hopefully there will be a third part of this thing. Hopefully, you know,
it's already brewing, man.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll, you know, when you put the baby to sleep or whatever, you know, you'll get those hours to work on your stuff,
right
man.
Now, I'm telling you.
But, yeah, man, thank you so much for coming through. I hope to see you back in the studio, and of course, we will be rocking the Green Dash.
Hey, thank you. One last thing, I just want to say,
sweat, yeah.
Love the wife, love the sons, and thank you guys so much. I get so much inspiration from my family, and happy birthday to my brother, man, September 6th. Happy birthday, Ryan. So yeah, thank you for that, BC.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Honor. Hey, it's an honor to be here.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. And like I said, I hope to have you back, and hopefully maybe, you know, we can nerd out about some sci-fi stuff or, you know, different kind of music some other time, man. But
no doubt.
Yo, thank you so much.